Good morning. We've covered my morning routine, which is also my self care for my emotional, mental, and spiritual health so far. If you've missed any of the last 6 episodes and want to try what I found to make a difference, go back and take a listen. I try to keep my episodes short because I know how busy we all are and how much great information is available to consume. I have so many podcasts that I love to listen to. My last but not least practice of my morning routine is exercise. Exercise can take any form. When I was a young mom with little kids, I walked with friends. We both pushed strollers. Some years it was even a double stroller. And during the winter, I'd watch and follow workouts on TV. I've done lots of things over the years, but I've always exercised, except for when I was too sick while I was pregnant. At this stage of life, I play pickleball. I've been playing pickleball for 5 years for an hour and a half a day with my friends. The reason why I've stuck with this form of exercise is manyfold, but every time I've had the chance to incorporate movement with social interaction and then nature, I've found it to be the very best for me. More important than any other reason, the best reason for any form of exercise, in my opinion, is because you love it. Deciding on exercise that lights you up and fills your soul and is fun for you makes all the difference. What type of movement do you actually like? Before I even begin, let me just say that there are no right or wrong ways to exercise. If you're moving your body in any way, you are exercising. Keep it up and add more time and variety as you are able and your circumstances allow. Exercise can literally be anything. Think outside the box. What if you have a bunch of little kids and you just can't exercise? Turn on some music and dance with them. Chase them around the house. I know I did that a bunch. Do whatever you love, or at least you like to do. Dancing, walking, playing sports, running, swimming, weight training, biking, or taking classes at the gym. It doesn't matter what you do, just commit to moving your body. There is so much research that has been done on exercise, improving not only physical health, but mental health as well. It's one of the best ways to show your body and spirit love. I'm going to share what has helped me successfully exercise regularly for years. I find what I do that I love. I've stuck with pickleball for so long because I love it. First, it keeps me committed because 3 other women depend on me to show up. I can't flake, I can't be too tired or not feel good enough. It helps me to be consistent. If I can't play, I'm required to find a substitute so my friends can still play. Second, it fulfills a need for me to socialize with other women. My friends and I will admit that some days are more therapy than playing pickleball. Over the years, we've all had things come up in our lives. It's been wonderful to have built in time to get advice, help, or just have others who are willing to listen and share the burdens of life. Most of the time, we just catch up and enjoy each other's company and support each other in our fitness goals. During COVID, when everything was shut down, including all public pickleball courts, we played on my friend's court in her yard every day. Playing pickleball each day got us through COVID. We all decided it was worth the risk to continue playing despite the possibility of getting sick. It was worth it to us. That is how important pickleball had become to each of us. Third, we usually play outdoors, and I love being outside. It is another thing I need. Being outside and enjoying this beautiful world God has created is an added bonus while exercising for me. Another thing that really helps me to exercise is routine and consistency. I carve out time, preferably the same time every day to exercise. The more it becomes just what I do instead of something I decide on each day, the more it happens. I have really slacked this summer. But one thing I did the whole school year last year was that I worked my way up to doing 500 crunches and 50 women's push ups each day. I felt like I needed some strength training in addition to pickleball. I found that playing upbeat music made all the difference in whether it was torture or enjoyable. This may seem strange, but when I faced the window and I could see outside instead of staring at the wall while doing crunches, it also made it easier to do. I have plans to start my crunches and sit ups now that the kids are back in school. Summer's thrown me off my game a bit, but I'm ready to get going again. I want to address what I see with my weight loss clients around the topic of exercise. Often they have an all or nothing mentality. They're either doing it or not. I challenged myself around my thinking in this way. I would like to challenge your thinking around exercising as well. For every single one of the practices that create a better experience in my life, I like to have a bare minimum goal and then a sky is the limit goal. If I do the bare minimum, I am keeping promises to myself and I have one for the day. This helps me to build momentum. My bare minimum goal for exercise takes 1 to 2 minutes. You know, those days when you wake up and you feel awful and you didn't get any sleep and your body's run down and you have a lot of negative thoughts. If I do crunches or sit ups for 1 to 2 minutes, I've exercised for the day on one of these really rough days. If I play one game of pickleball, I've exercised for the day. If I go on a short walk, I've exercised. I have won. I don't count it as a fail. If I don't get in an hour and a half of pickleball and 500 crunches and 50 sit ups, right? Or no, 50 push ups. Yeah. On a great day when I have the time and I'm feeling awesome, I might play pickleball for an hour and a half and do 50 um, push ups and 500 crunches. That's a win too. Anything in between is a win. I always win. Tell your mind I'm winning. I always keep promises to myself. I'm going to move my body today. This builds my confidence in myself and what I am capable of. We can never beat ourselves better. We can only love ourselves better. If I never factor in the hard days, I start feeling defeated. Making space for those rough days and just doing the bare minimum goal and calling it a win makes a huge difference. The next day, you feel like getting up and going instead of, well, I messed up, so I'm just going to give up. One client just walks to the end of the street and back as her bare minimum. Another one just dances to one song. Another does jumping jacks for 2 minutes. Your bare minimum goal should take no longer than 1 to 2 minutes because sometimes and some days that's all you've got. Part of self care is being kind to yourself, not making excuses, but in a spirit of love for you, just doing what you can do. I have days when I give myself a break. I call it a mental health day, and I am just good to me. There are mornings like this past year when my whole family, or not this past year, but this past week, one of my family was in a condo at the lake, and those days look way different than when I'm at home. I tried to take a little time to pray and read scriptures for a very short time or later in the day. I did some of my routine quickly in my head. I also did different forms of exercise every day than I usually do. We were at a lake, so I could paddleboard, and we had wave runners, and we walked a lot. We did a lot of walking to the beach and back. I didn't play pickleball once. I didn't have more than a couple minutes to really devote to anything. With my family hungry, that was my priority. I always consider family time a win, regardless of how much of my regular routine I get in. Now that 3 of my kids are grown and have moved out, it is a treasure to be able to spend time with them. Don't be hard on yourself or too strict. Be kind to yourself. I make adjustments when we're out of town and I do the best that I can. The most important thing to me is that when I'm home, and things are normal, I have a routine set in place to help me in all the areas of my life that I want to succeed. Generally speaking, I can fit my morning routine in most days of the year. Have you tried implementing any of my practices? Did you find one that you want to make into a regular habit? If so, what is your bare minimum goal and what is your maximum goal? You can adjust these anytime, but start somewhere. Life is unpredictable, but having habits in place has been crucial in maintaining my best marriage and my best life. I have my practices written, and I would recommend being able to see them to remind yourself what you're working on. Start small and add principles as you get in a routine that works for you. Start with a principle that is easiest for you or will be the most rewarding and you feel will make the biggest difference. Our brains, remember, are always working to help have us seek pleasure, avoid pain, and exert as little energy as possible. So be on to your brain. Figure out what works for you. Your routine may look completely different than mine. All that matters is that you find what works and stick with it. and whatever helps you maintain optimal mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual health, just make sure you start making it a practice for your life. My sister told me yesterday that she has found that 2 practices make the very most difference in her day. And the first one is to practice her mantras and thoughts that she wants to believe. And then she loves to listen to uplifting, beautiful music. We are all so unique, and it's just as it should be. Whatever works for you, do. I love the scripture in Alma 37:6-7, where he says, Behold, I say unto you, that by small and simple things are great things brought to pass. And small means, in many instances, doth confound the wise. And the Lord God doth work by means to bring about his great and eternal purposes. I figured out what works best for me through trial and error. I have figured out what can be discarded and what is absolutely essential every day. Each of my 7 practices seems pretty small and insignificant on its own, but when practiced consistently, has made a huge difference in my life. It's the difference between like completely sliding backwards from the progress that I've made in my marriage and in my life and staying on course. It really has made that kind of a difference. Change takes commitment. It takes determination. It takes practice. It may not seem very fun. It's worth it. Start where you are right now and build from there. Each day is a new day. God will help you know what's prudent for you. He'll help you know what will fill you up, what will help you feel His Spirit, what will help you treat people in your life the way you want to treat them, what will help you have the right mental thoughts that make a difference. Until next time, don't forget to seek and expect miracles in all aspects of your life. Small wins are to be applauded. Be your own cheerleader. Make a big deal out of every win. They all count. They all matter. We'll see you next week.